Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. First up, I tried a new recipe for an easy baked cod. This tasted a lot like cod piccata. It was just simpler because you didn't have to drudge the fish and flour and pan fry it first. On this baking sheet, I've spread it with some cooking spray. I've got my cod fillets. I'm going to add some lemon juice to this bowl of melted butter. Now, for one of the sides, I need some lemon zest, so I'm going to go ahead and zest the lemon, set that aside, and then, like I said, add the lemon juice to this butter. And a quick note, this recipe, along with all the recipes from today's video, will be in the description box below for you. Next, I'm going to add in some minced garlic, followed by Italian seasoning. I'm going to add in some crushed red pepper flakes, and next the capers. And I find this just at the regular grocery store. This jar was under $3. I think it was like $2.50 something, and you can get many different uses out of this. Capers are great. You can chop them up and put them into tartar sauce, use them in different recipes. So I'm going to give that butter a stir, and I forgot to mention this, but off camera I did season the cod with some salt and pepper. I'm going to add that butter on top of the cod and then give a little sprinkle of paprika. This is going to go into a preheated oven set at 425 degrees, and it's going to bake for about 10 to 15 minutes or so. Really just depends on how thick your cod is. I had some asparagus and grape tomatoes on hand and I needed to use them up, so I went on Pinterest and I found this recipe. It was delicious, so I'll definitely make it again. Here on a cookie sheet, I'm going to add some asparagus. I just kind of chopped them into bite-sized pieces. I'm adding some of those grape tomatoes, and then I'm going to drizzle this with some olive oil. Next, I'm going to season the veggies with some salt and pepper, and then this is going to go into the preheated oven along with the cod at 425 degrees, and you want to bake this for maybe about 15 minutes or so until the asparagus are tender. Once that's done, I'm going to remove them, and then I just kind of move them to one side so they were all together. I'm going to add a little sprinkle of Parmesan cheese. I've got it on hand. You could also use grated Parmesan cheese if that's what you've got. Last but not least, we're going to add on a drizzle of balsamic glaze, and that's it. And like I said, this was delicious. It was really good. Both Gary and I enjoyed it. Now for the second side, we're going to do just some quick and easy couscous. I've got some boiling water here. I'm going to add in a little pat of butter along with some Israeli couscous. It's also called pearl couscous. I added in a pinch of salt, gave that a stir, brought it to a boil, and then simmered it for about 10 minutes until the couscous was tender. At that point, I'm going to add in that lemon zest. Remember earlier when I had the lemon juice that I needed for the cod. Once I've added in that lemon zest, I'm going to add in some fresh cracked black pepper and then throw in some fresh chopped parsley. Give that a stir, and then that's it. Simple but delicious. This is what it looked like when it was done. So here are the plates. We've got some of that cod, the asparagus, the couscous, and this was a delicious dinner. It was light, but it was so good. Next up, we weren't super hungry, and I have been wanting to try this recipe for a Burrata Caprese Crostini for a while. I'd found some burrata at a really good price at Food Lion, and so I decided to make that. We're going to start out by making a tomato confit. So in this little baking dish here, I've got some grape tomatoes. I'm going to drizzle it pretty generously with some olive oil, season with a little salt and pepper as well as minced garlic. I'm going to give that a mix and then add a sprig of fresh rosemary on top. And a quick note, burrata cheese, it's made from mozzarella cheese. The outside is exactly what you would expect from mozzarella cheese, but the inside is really creamy. I baked that at 350 degrees for about 40 to 45 minutes or so. I'm going to take my fork and mash up the tomatoes, give it a taste. You can adjust the seasonings to your taste. Here I've got part of a baguette. I just had this left over. It was in my freezer. I allowed it to thaw, drizzled it with some olive oil, and put it in the oven just to toast for a few minutes. I'm going to add some pesto, followed by arugula. And like I said, I had most of this on hand, so I'm just using what I've got. You can absolutely feel free to substitute, add, subtract based on, what you like, what you've got on hand. So next I'm going to add on that burrata cheese, followed by the tomato confit. I'm going to do a drizzle of that balsamic glaze and then add some fresh chopped basil. Now, you could close this up like a sandwich, but we just sliced it up and had it as is, and this was really good. The only thing that I would do differently is before you add that tomato confit to the burrata, I would sprinkle the burrata with some salt. Just felt like it needed just a little bit of salt. But yeah, like I said, we weren't super hungry, so we just had this. But like I mentioned just a minute ago, you could absolutely top this with another piece of bread, make a sandwich. Instead of the burrata, you could use just sliced regular mozzarella cheese. You could do spinach instead of the arugula, or just leave that out altogether. I think this would also be really cool for like the upcoming holidays with the red and the white and the green. I think it would be, you know, kind of fancy sounding, you know, a burrata caprese with tomato confit. Sounds a little fancy, but it's really easy to put together. The next night was off a meal plan, but it was super easy. I just did some air fryer chicken thighs. Here's what I'm going to put together. So first up in this bag here, I've got some boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I'm going to drizzle those with a little olive oil, smoked paprika, garlic powder, and some of this Kinder's brown sugar garlic seasoning. I've got this deluxe macaroni and cheese. This is just the dollar store brand. I'm going to cook that according to package instructions. And then I've got some frozen California mix veggies with some of the Mrs. Dash garlic and herb seasoning. So for the chicken, again, just seasoned it up, put it in the air fryer, cooked it at 360 degrees for about 20 minutes or so. It just depends on how thick your chicken is. Cook it until it's at least 165 degrees internal temperature. Here's that macaroni and cheese, like I mentioned, just according to package instructions. I did add in a splash of milk. I cooked those veggies in the microwave according to the package, added a tiny little pat of butter, some salt and pepper, and some of that Mrs. Dash seasoning. And I don't know why, but as I was making dinner, I just really wanted a roll to go with it. And luckily, I had just a couple of these Sister Schubert's yeast rolls in my freezer, so I'm going to bake those up. And then I also had this like cinnamon butter that I got from Walmart. This is their new Better Goods brand, and so I just baked the I got Mrs. Dash and Sister Schubert's confused. I cooked the Sister Schubert's rolls and then brushed them with some of that butter. Here are the plates. We've got some of the chicken, the veggies, the macaroni and cheese, and those rolls with that butter. And this was a simple dinner. It was a last minute throw together dinner, but it was really good. For dinner the next night, it was also off a meal plan, but my hubby had heard, I think like a day or two before this was National Cheeseburger Day, and he was just so offended that we hadn't celebrated. And he requested cheeseburgers. So I've got these hamburger patties. I just had him run into Kroger and pick those up. And then I had bought, I think last week or the week before at Publix when their Kinder seasonings were on sale, I got this hamburger seasoning. It's the buttery burger blend, and y'all, this was delicious on these burgers. And I used like maybe a third of this packet on all of these patties, so we've got plenty to use for other uses. I had some of these Lewis Hawaiian hamburger buns. I've got some fries, and then the Steak and Shake seasoning. So I sprinkled that Kinder seasoning on the patties like I mentioned, and then I cooked them on about medium-high heat. I cooked ours for, I think, about 5 minutes or so per side. We like our burgers medium. If you like them well done, obviously just cook them a little longer. I had some sliced Munster cheese and sliced pepper jack cheese on hand. So for 2 of the patties for Gary, I added a slice of each. I added a slice of Munster just on one for me, and then I just left the one plain so we could reheat it later. The fries, I sprayed them with a little cooking spray, seasoned them with some of that Steak and Shake seasoning, cooked them in the air fryer at 400 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes or so until they were crispy to our liking. And then here are the plates. We just assembled the burgers with the condiments that we wanted. We've got the fries. And real quick, I was totally kidding about Gary getting offended, by the way, about National Cheeseburger Day. I just don't want anybody to leave comments down below being like, why would he get mad about something? I was totally kidding. If you know him in real life, no, it would take a lot more than that to make him mad. But yeah, yummy little dinner. For dinner this next night, I did Greek meatball gyros. So a few weeks or so ago, I used these spinach and feta chicken meatballs. We bought these at Sam's Club. I used them to make some like Greek meatball orzo bowls, and both of us thought that these would make really yummy gyro sandwiches. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. I've got some pita bread. Just got this at the regular grocery store. To keep this super easy, I'm cooking these in the air fryer. You can absolutely bake them in the oven according to the package instructions. I believe I did about 360 degrees for maybe about 12 to 15 minutes or so. Just make sure they're chicken. So you want to make sure that the insides are at least 165 degrees internal temperature. Now, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do on the side for tonight, but I knew I wanted something quick and easy. I realized I had everything on hand to make one of the like viral cucumber salad things. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, there's, I guess, this guy on TikTok called Logan Feuds or something like that. And he has done these cucumber salad videos, and several of them have went viral. This is my version of one that he did. So I will try to find one of his videos, but I'm not cool enough for TikTok, so it's on Instagram. So what we're going to do is slice up a cucumber. I'm using a mandolin. If you have a mandolin, be very, very careful. Trust me from experience. Do not get your fingers close to the blade. You can also just slice this up with a knife. Now, Logan used like Greek yogurt. I have some tzatziki on hand, so that's what I'm going to use. Next, I'm going to add in some feta cheese. He used fresh dill. I don't have any. I've got dried, so that's what I'm going to use. And then this is controversial. I know if you're morally opposed to it or afraid to use it, don't like it, just skip it. But this is some MSG. I'm using Accent. Next up, we're going to add in some lemon juice. I'm going to add in some fresh garlic. I'm mincing it up. I think Logan grates it, I believe, but whichever way, just add in some garlic. You could also do garlic powder if you don't have any fresh on hand. Now, he puts these in like a big takeout container and shakes them. I didn't have that, so I put this on the lid. You just give it a good shake, and then, yeah, that's it. This is what it looked like when it was done. Now, side note, while I had everything out, he has like a peanut butter version where you make like you use peanut butter, soy sauce, sesame oil, some vinegar, so like an Asian Thai version. I filmed it, but I ended up not sharing it because it did not turn out well for me at all. I could never get the peanut butter to incorporate no matter what I did. Even tried, just like hand mixing it with a spoon, and it would never incorporate. So not sure what I did wrong there. But yes, that's why I decided not to share it. But to assemble these, I just warmed up the pita, laid down some of the tzatziki sauce, added some sliced cucumber, tomatoes, those meatballs, did another little sprinkling of feta cheese, and then we've got that cucumber salad. And yes, great idea to use those chicken meatballs for the gyros. They were so good. The last two dinners in this week's video are dinners out. So we were going to Kentucky for a family reunion. This first night, we'd actually driven up there, and there is a new Buc-ee's that opened within the past couple months or so on our way. And so we stopped there and got a few things. We got their chopped brisket sandwich, one of their Philly cheesesteak burritos, and then I got some of their loaded potato salad. And then almost to the rental, there is a Lee's Famous Recipe, which we don't have near us in Nashville. And so every time we go home to Kentucky, we have to stop by Lee's. We got some of their potato wedges and coleslaw. And so, yeah, that's what we had. Gary had the chopped brisket sandwich. I had the Philly cheesesteak burrito, and we had the sides, and it was a yummy dinner. And then for this next night, we ordered from one of the local Mexican restaurants. Gary ran and picked it up. Basically, I got their fajitas Jalisco, but we didn't assemble it like fajitas. We just ate like the rice, more like arroz con pollo or pollo loco, pollo fundido, whatever. I know each restaurant kind of has their own version of it. But so we had the rice, and then we added the meat on top. We drizzled the queso, and then we had the refried beans on the side, and it was delicious. All right, that is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you liked this video, got some dinner ideas from it. If you did like it, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.